Yes, yes. I can't believe it either. A documentary on paintball. Can you believe? Buy 1,000 shares. Yes. Make sure everybody knows about it and fund him. Yes. Do you realize it? Yes. Do you realize that he did it all on his own with his own money? So now you need to fund him. Well, oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. Hey, how are you guys? Nice to see you. Everything okay? What is today? Today's Tuesday. Dude, we're doing so many shows. It's amazing. It's about 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles, California. It's a beautiful day. It's going to be a hot one, probably about 90s, maybe triple digits. Look, I got stuck again. Look, I got stuck. Watch. There, I got moved. There you go. Anyway, it's going to be an amazing day. Every day is an amazing day, and we're going to be chatting with this really cool cat. We got a lot of shows coming up. We even had a show tonight. Dave Patton with the Law referee group. They're going to be coming in too, so it's going to be great. So my guest today is an esteemed author. He's climbed Mount Everest without any oxygen. He's done several marathons backwards. He ran back. No, I'm just joking. No, my guest today he's an OG player. You're going to learn so much about this guy, and you're like, I didn't know this. This guy, he's OG. He's been like with our sports from the beginning. He's an actual certified rock star. I'm not lying. He's actually a really amazing, accomplished musician. He's a photographer. He's a family man, a man of faith. He's traveled all over the world and documented our sport. Now he's adding another notch to his belt, and that is he's a certified documentarian. And he's actually created a documentary called The Complete History of Paintball. And no complete history of paintball would be complete without me in it. I'm just joking. I am in it, and but that's not what makes it complete. What makes it complete is that this guy has been part of our family, community, history since the beginning. And I have a very connected history with this guy. We've banged into each other a lot of times, and we finally consolidated everything and so we're going to talk to you about that as well. And I had the opportunity actually to talk with him when I did my other podcast, and he actually we met up at Gary Baum's office, and we did a podcast, and we went out to dinner afterwards. I've known this guy for a long time. And so I'm just really proud to have him on the show. And I've been really, really looking forward to this. So that's it. That's all the time we have. So I'll talk to you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. See you later. Bye-bye. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. I bet, let me see. Have you been counting how many shows you've been on?
I have not been counting. It's been a few. It's been good. It's been fun.
You've been busy. Are you busier now or when you were a rock star?
Well, probably never was a rock star, but I was probably busier then, believe it or not.
Really? Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Tell everybody who you are.
So I'm John Amodea, and I am the editor of Paintball Media Magazine. And we just produced the film, The Complete History of Paintball.
I like it. It sounds fantastic. Okay. So if you guys are familiar with my show, and John's familiar with my show, it's not really a fluff show. I really like to get to know the people that come on the show. When we do like either a player bio, a team bio, or whatever it is, I want you guys to connect with these guys. I feel that it's important. A lot of times when you see people at the events, you might talk with them for like 5 minutes or something, but you didn't know that this guy rode a bull in Mexico, or this guy was like skydive backwards with no clothes on. And then all of a sudden you go, wow. And so then you could probably have like a better connection when you go see them at the park, or maybe a better appreciation of what they did to get to where they are. So you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you buckled in? You're nice. All right, cool. All right. So let's start from the beginning. The last name sounds Italian.
It is Italian.
Both sides?
Yes, grandmother from Napoli, grandfather from Sicily. My mom's side, half Italian, half Irish.
Unbelievable. And how much mafia in your family?
Next subject, because there's actually some, but we won't get into that.
I don't know.
I want to incriminate myself.
I asked you that question when I think I would think we went out to dinner after the other radio show, and you go, you got anything else to talk about? I go, I love that stuff. I love that history. All right. So then are we talking East Coast?
Yes, New York City is where I grew up, born and raised.
Okay. And so the families got together in New York, and then where in New York?
Staten Island, New York, in one of the 5 boroughs of the city.
Dude, that's cool.
I grew up in a little Italian neighborhood where most of the people, well, everyone spoke Italian. Italian was, probably at least 50% of the spoken language there.
That's cool. Oh, yeah. So bella bambino, paesano. Hey. I love
pretty much, yeah.
I love it. Actually, you know what's interesting is if you ever see Buenos Aires or in like Argentina,
yep.
They speak Spanish, but with an Italian accent because the Italians were so influential there.
Yes.
And you're like, if you listen to it, you're almost like, are you speaking Italian? Yeah. So I love Italian. So you grew up there. You kind of like one of those movies where it was like that. Like there was my favorite movie. What's it? I forgot the name of my favorite movie. I forgot about it. Bronx Tale.
Oh yeah.
Right? Was
that's kind of that's kind of similar. Yes.
Right. So you kind of like you knew everybody in your neighborhood. Kind of everybody was connected and
absolutely yes.
Everybody watched out for each other. Okay. So I'm never ashamed to say my age. Right. This is what I am. Okay. Cool. You're a little bit older than me, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I assume so. Yes.
I will. I'm going to be 59 this year.
Yeah, I'm 60. So yeah, got you by a year.
So about a year. Okay, cool. So then we kind of grew up in the same kind of world, basically, where watching the same things on TV. We weren't latchkey kids. I mean, we were latchkey kids, but we didn't really call it that. We were just kind of like part of the neighborhood kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Did that influence your life to be able to just to run around and play stickball and things?
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, sports was my thing till, from the time I was 5 or 6 years old till I was 13 or 14. I mean, I played in every kind of league: football, baseball, basketball, hockey.
Really?
Yeah. Stickball. Yes. Schoolyard stickball was a big thing.
Dude, that's cool.
And then at 15, I found the guitar, and that was the end of sports.
That was the end of sports, dude. All right. Where'd you go to high school?
Curtis High School. A really huge school in Staten Island.
Okay. Staten Island. When I went to Long Island to play paintball at Cousins.
Yeah.
And then I started, every time I go someplace, I do my research, and I'm like, wow, one end of the island, Jerry Seinfeld lives, and the other end of the island, there's like, oh, this kind of. Was Staten Island actually like a completely white or Italian or something?
So first, so Long Island is not part of New York City, right? Long Island is New York State. It's close to the city. Staten Island is actually one of the 5 boroughs in New York City.
Okay.
So Staten Island is very diverse. It was even when I was a kid, but it was very segregated by neighborhoods.
Oh, it was?
So you'd have the white Italian neighborhood, the white Irish neighborhood. You would have the African American neighborhood. You would have the Puerto Rican neighborhoods, and so, yeah. But it's completely intermingled, and it's really cool.
And when you went to school, was it like West Side Story, where like people were gangs and fighting each other?
Oh yeah.
Did you have to?
I was actually in a gang.
Yeah. I mean, no, I'm serious. I mean, I didn't have that in California. We had like the gang of avocados and the gang of. I'm sorry. I'm just.
Gangs were a thing for sure.
So I mean, were you like? Did you have to be a scrappy kid and like fight because of that kind of stuff? Or?
Every day.
Really?
Literally. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, it wasn't your average upbringing for sure.
Dude, I'm telling you. I always tell this to the audience too, is that we are obviously we carry these baggages of what happened to us, that we are that package of our life kind of thing. But see, looking at you, I don't see that, man. I just see this like just like this like mellow guy. You could probably be like either hanging out with Jimmy Buffett or over here in Los Angeles. That's how I look at you all the time. You know what I'm saying?
That sounds good. I can do that.
That's how I look at you. Okay, so you said you dropped the hat though. You said guitar, right? Okay, but that was during high school.
So yeah, so actually I was a drummer first. My dad bought me a drum set when I was 6, and I was playing in bands from the time I was 10, 11 years old.
No, what? Are you serious?
Yeah. I had an older brother that was a musician, and I filled in for their drummer when they couldn't make practices and things like that. And then at 15, I just fell in love with the guitar, and that changed my life, obviously. Yeah.
Okay, so hang on a second. Some people drop out of high school because they fall in love with the music kind of thing.
That's
Did you?
me.
You dropped out?
I
Okay,
did.
all
So I
right.
dropped
So
out of high school, and I got my GED before my graduating class, which was fun for me and not so much fun for my friends. Then I took a year off and worked and played music. And then I went to the College of Staten Island and got a music degree. So
oh, so
yeah.
you did. Okay, so you
Hmm.
did. Okay, so you
Yeah.
are a man of letter. Fantastic. Hey, okay, cool. All right. So you grabbed this thing.
Me at 15 years old.
You're 15 there.
Yep.
So what is that? 77?
That would be 74.
70.
Yep.
Jesus Christ! Look at this. This is like Led Zeppelin. All right.
It's probably what I
And
was playing right there.
okay, so who were your musical influences?
I had a bunch. I was into all kinds of music. I was really into jazz. So like cool jazz period was really cool for me. But like, the Who, Led Zeppelin, the classic rock bands back in the day. And then a
Okay.
little bit later, like when I got to be 16, 17, then it was like the Ramones and the Sex Pistols and those punk bands. Yeah.
Okay, so what happens a lot of times, people get the guitar, they start to play, and then they start doing cover bands, right? So they can actually get their feet wet kind of thing.
Yes.
So did you cover or did you write your own stuff?
I think the first band I played in was all covers, maybe one or two originals, and then after that, I found songwriting was kind of my thing. So yeah, so I played in all original, but mostly original bands since from that point on.
All right, and then you actually did like high schools. I mean, did you do those kind of like the
Yeah, for a
prom?
couple of years. Yeah, for
Yeah.
a couple of years, we did the high school things. Yeah.
And did they? But they wanted you to play the hits. Did they? They didn't want you to like noodle on the guitar for like an hour, like.
It's funny. They want you to do whatever brings people, right? So we had a pretty good following even when I was a kid. So yeah, so they didn't mind so much us, playing 20-minute jam songs.
Okay, I've seen this as a kid. I mean, when I was watching like like rock documentaries, rock things like this, and I'm like, what is the purpose of this thing? What is that? I mean, can't you just choose a guitar and that's it?
That's pretty funny. So the top one is a 12-string guitar, and the bottom one is a 6. So they play very differently and they sound different.
I couldn't. Okay, so 12 string. Jesus
Yep.
Christ, look at that. Okay, listen, I think music is magic. I love music. I'm just like I'm enthralled by music, and I think that you guys are magicians. The way that you can write or play that kind of stuff, right? Okay, fine. And as an outsider, like in the 80s, when I started watching, like all these bands started to appear. I made a friend with a band here in LA, and he couldn't. He said he like knew 3 chords or what. They basically gave him the bass, right? Because
Right.
he wanted to get laid like all the rest of the guys, so they gave him the bass, and he really couldn't play it. And sometimes they would just unplug the amp, and I'm
Yeah.
like, so maybe you don't need a bass player, right? I'm like,
Right.
I said, listen, you can't fake the drums, you can't fake the
Right.
guitar, you can't fake the piano, but a guy standing there going like boom, 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 like this, right? Okay, cool. So I thought I could do that kind of thing, and I realized that actually the bass player and the drummers, they're kind of like intertwined, right?
Yes. Very true. Absolutely. That's the
Yeah,
rhythm section of the band. Yeah.
exactly. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Right.
Like they like Eddie Van Halen's on band. What was the bass player? What was his name?
Oh, can't remember his name right now.
I
Yeah.
forgot what his name was. Anyway, they were like, they don't need him. He's like, but if you really listen, yeah, if you're really a music file, you can start listening to what's
Yes.
going on. And okay, dude, what is this?
That is one of the bands I played in. Wow, that's old. It's a band called Civil Tongue, which was kind of like a band that did music in the style of like Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, really progressive rock, 70s progressive rock.
Nice. And back in the day, before we had social media, they had like magazines or something that people would post looking for a drummer, looking for a guitarist, right? That
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. There was in New York, there's a newspaper called The Village Voice, which is still publishing. That was like the music newspaper, So all like the clubs had their bands listed there, and bands looking for musicians could advertise there. Yeah.
And did you have to do that, or like you kind of were like so good that people were just like, no, he's on our list.
Yeah, it wasn't hard for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't hard.
I'm going too in depth. I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm just I'm trying to build a pattern here of I'm stuck again. I'm trying to build a pattern here of the integrity that you have. That when you actually look at this, I'm getting stuck a lot. Well, the pattern, the integrity that you have about how you grew up and the person you became. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, what people do is they'll look at the. I always say this. They look at the lemon tree and they criticize it and they go, oh, I don't like those lemons. But they don't know how much like you had to fertilize the ground and cultivate and build that tree. And then that tree became you. And then that thing carries over to when you're playing music, doing, the paintball magazines, everything that you're doing is that grit that, you know what I'm saying, that's inside of you. So my hat's off to you, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
We haven't even finished the show, and I'm saying, you're killing it. You're killing it. All right, what is this?
Oh, that's another band that my band played with a lot back in the day. I wasn't in that band, but they were really good. In fact, two of those guys are brothers, and they're both Hollywood movie producers now.
No, dude, that's cool. I like it. And then you settled down to this guy.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
That was probably 10 years ago.
Wow. And what were you doing? Like just sessions?
So we were actually in the studio recording a CD so I lead a band at my church, and that was we were doing a CD for the church.
And again, like I said, you're a man of faith, so this is like important to you that when you started like playing music in your church and yeah,
right? That's at a kids camp, like a teenager camp.
That's important. I mean, that's important because again, music is this like special thing that can actually like bond people together.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like in the big black churches where they're like, it's a big gospel Saturday, bam, bam, bam. Yep. And there's something special about having that versus maybe a Presbyterian where they're like just sitting there looking at like this. Music does something to you. It stirs the soul. And
no doubt.
I think it's fantastic.
I mean, no matter where you come from and what your financial, status is, or where you live, or what kind of car you drive, music connects to everybody.
Nice.
And it's one thing that really everybody has in common.
I like it. I agree 100%, dude. There's only one person that doesn't like music, Gary Baum. I keep on talking to him. I go, dude. He goes,
Gary doesn't like anything though.
I know. He really like he's like in a box. I like photography. I like drones, and get out of my way. Like exactly. So anyway, all right. So then you you grew up in a rough neighborhood, kind of. No, you grew up in an amazing neighborhood. You went to high school. You found the guitar. You've been drumming since you were 10. Then all of a sudden you drop out of school. You get a GED. You go back to college. You go 4 years and become an educated. I mean, a degree in music.
Orchestral arranging. Say that 10 times.
We can stop the show right here. And I'm just going to drop the mic. Boom. Okay, cool. And then, and then you're playing in bands. So then basically you've got this, you've got your life going on. You've got the music going on. And then where did paintball come in?
Good question. So 1985, I was going to a camping trip, meeting friends on a camping trip. So I used to have friends from Virginia, New York, Maryland, Delaware. And we would meet once or twice a year to camp someplace that we would all meet at. And this one year, 1985, we were going to camp in the Pocono Mountains. And we met on the side of the road. We had a designated spot we're going to meet. 30 cars drove to this spot, and we all got together and chatted for 5 minutes, jumped back in our cars, drove down Route 903 and passed this place on the left called Skirmish. And I saw like 100 or 200 people walking around with faces painted, carrying guns. And I made a U-turn, and all the cars behind me followed me. No. And in the parking lot said, "What are you guys doing?" They're like, "We're playing Skirmish." Like, what is that? And they're like, "It's kind of like war games." So we all signed up and we played the next day. Yeah. Or the day after. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hang on a second. What is this?
That's just a couple of years ago, but that's Skirmish. Yes. That's
Skirmish. So that's basically where it started.
It is. Yeah. That was my first game ever. And I played there for probably 3 years before I really played anywhere else.
Wow.
2 years.
So that picture is basically full circle.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I love to go. I go to Ion every year because it's really nostalgic for me. You know, that's where I played my first
Dude,
game. So
all right, that's cool. So then back in what, 85, that was like 3 years into it, 82, 83 to 45, right? Like 4 years
yep.
into it.
Yeah,
Okay.
the first commercial games were in '82. So yeah, it's 3 years after that.
So then what was it? Is it in Maryland? Where was it, like the plaque that says that that the first game started? Or the first paintball thing? Was that?
So that's a long story. I'm going to make it as short as I can. That's New Hampshire, Henniker, New Hampshire. And the first game paintball was played in Henniker, New Hampshire. But that plaque was actually never made because the person who found the location couldn't raise the funds to make it and keep it up. The long story short is they would have put that plaque in the wrong place because
Ooh.
the place they thought was the original location for paintball, first game of paintball, was not the right location. I found the person who arranged that first game back in 1981, and he drew me a map, and I went to the actual location, and I found all the landmarks that were on the map, and so I know exactly where the first game was played. And in the director's cut of the film, which will be out in September, we'll have a little bit of a story and show you that location.
Dude, that's cool. Oh, but so where was the actual?
It's in a town of Henniker, New Hampshire.
Okay, unbelievable. And just really quickly, side note here,
Yeah.
I was always told, again, listen, I've only been in our world since 2008, and my knowledge of the sport is like Swiss cheese. That's why you guys go out and get that video, go out and get the documentary, so you can fill in those Swiss cheese blanks. But I've had Gary Baum on my shoulder all this time, filling in kind of like, did you know this and you know that? So I've kind of got knowledge, but not. So is it true that it started from like the government shooting cows with or trees with paint and stuff to?
Not really. I mean, the guns were made to mark cattle and to mark trees for excavation.
Yeah.
So that is why the guns were made. But the first game of paintball didn't come about that way. The first game of paintball, and I'll keep this really short because it's all in the film. The first game of paintball was a couple of guys arguing about survival, like would a city boy last in a survival game or a country boy who's got hunting experience? And they argued this back and forth for 3 years. And a friend found one of these cattle marking guns.
Wow.
And they said, maybe we can settle the argument with this. So they ordered some cattle marking guns, and they had like a little one-on-one. And then they decided to go bigger, and they invited their friends, and they made this a pretty big deal.
That is very cool. Okay, so then that's happening in the background. You don't know this is going on. You get to the Poconos with your friends. You're like, driving around. You run across these crazy guys.
Yes.
And you're like, okay. I always tell people that when like mothers or fathers or something, they ask me about like, what is paintball? What is this thing? And I said, our instinct is cavemen or cave people, which was fight or flight or whatever. There's something that's in our reptilian bodies that like this kind of stuff. And then you go to cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians or whatever, hide and seek, and you combine all that together, and you'll notice that when people go out there, some people get it, and they're and then some people be like, nah, this is not for me, kind of thing.
Right.
When you spun the car around and you did this and whatever, you said, this is it. I love this.
Yeah. And I played that next day, and I said to my friend that day, I'm going to make a living at this.
Dude.
Yeah, I really did.
Dude.
And it took 4 years, but I opened a field 4 years later. I was in a family business. It was a large business, and I was going to be handed the business, I was going to inherit the business. And so my future was all set. And I walked away from the family business to start a paintball field.
Wait a minute. I thought nobody walks away from the mafia.
Right. The other family business.
Just joking. What was the business?
It was like manufacturing displays. Like if you go into a bar and you look at the wall and you see all these beer mirrors, Budweiser mirrors and stuff, we made all of those.
Oh, that's cool. Is it still a business? Is it still happening?
Yes, my younger brother runs it.
Oh, that's cool. All right. So in case this whole paintball thing doesn't work out, you can always go back there and.
Not a chance.
Okay.
Not a chance.
Not a chance.
This has been my full-time living for 32 years. I am not walking away.
All right. So you know what happens is a lot of times, like I've heard these stories where guys like are at a party and they see a girl across the way and they tell their friend, I'm going to marry that girl. Right.
Yep.
And I'm like, come on, how do you know that, right? Okay, you just said I'm gonna make a living out of this thing,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so what was it? What I found it. I like this kind of thing, and then like you said, 4 years later, so did you actually bought a piece of land?
Yeah, so like right away, like maybe a year later, I was looking all around Pennsylvania for a piece of property, and I found one to open a paintball field. So that would have been 1986, but um, I couldn't get approval from the zoning and planning in that area, so I had to move out of state to find a place that it was a little bit easier. You didn't have to wait 3, 4 years to, because back then nobody saw paintball as a game. They saw it
Right,
as like, warmongering or like,
right,
survival training or, some crazy thing.
right.
So it was really difficult back then. So I wound up in Virginia because that was, the easiest place to, rent property from a farmer and go to a local planning and, zoning commission meeting and boom, you're open. So, yeah.
Okay, so how big was this place?
I don't know, 100 acres or so, something like that.
And it was like woods and stuff, and
Yeah, yeah, it was before anybody played outside of the woods. So, but we had like streams running through the property and boulders the size of houses.
wow.
It was cool. Yeah, it was a
So
cool
you didn't
field.
have to build. It was not like you built anything. You just kind of played in the area.
Yeah, I mean we did. Yeah, we still built bunkers and we built forts
Oh,
and
you did?
hooches and all kinds of
Yeah,
Vietnam looking things and yeah,
that's cool. And then how
yeah.
did you how did you convince people of your crazy idea? I mean, did you like we're going to go out in the woods and we're going to shoot each other, and your friends were like, we can do that in the city. Why you?
Yeah. The guy we rented the property from, he basically said, "What are you going to use the property for?" And I told him, he said, "That sounds really crazy, but I don't care as long as you pay me." So that was easy. And,
Nice.
and then I think by, 1988, 99, when I opened, paintball was at least, if you were kind of in your 20s and 30s, you'd heard about paintball. And, so to find a place to play that was close, it was pretty easy to get people there.
All right. And then where did everybody have to do mail order? How did you get your stuff?
Yeah, everything was yeah, there was in 1989 there had already been magazines for a couple of years. So you would call, all the ads in the magazine and what kind of guns do you have? What do you recommend for field owners? That kind of thing.
Wow, dude. Okay, so you were considering yourself a field owner. Would you be
Yeah.
considering like I mean, you actually like had a stock of things and you had like, rental guns and all that kind of
Oh yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we had 50 guns, something like that.
Dude,
Mask,
and then
the usual.
did you have a compressor? Or did you use scuba tanks? What'd you use?
There was no nitrogen back then. It was all CO2.
Dude,
So yeah, so it was you used the 50-pound, the big, tall, thin CO2 tanks.
fuck, that's
Yeah,
amazing. Dude,
yeah.
that's fantastic.
It was a lot of
Okay,
work.
so then you started getting involved, and okay, I'm gonna pop up some pictures here, and you're gonna tell me about this, right? So
Uh,
you started getting involved, right? What is this?
that's a big game that I went to in Sacramento, California.
Yeah,
So I don't know if you've heard of a guy named O Pollock, but he was a pretty big deal in paintball for a little while. That's him on the far right, my far right. Um, so he was one of the players that our magazine sponsored back then. So he invited us out to the game, and we'd go out there every year and play that.
nice. Okay, cool. And then so you started playing, but then what is this one here? What's this one?
That's my first serious paintball team. Um, that was like the home team at my paintball field.
Can you guys guess? Can you guys see where John is? I know
Yeah, good
because
luck with that.
I no, I know because uh I think you were wait a minute. I think you were on the left, right? On my left, which is uh far on your right maybe, but I'm
Front row, back row.
front row left-hand side.
Nope.
No. Where
Nope.
oh wait, you're top standing up,
Yep.
right? That's
Yep.
it. Okay, that's right. And what was this called? What was the team called?
The Badlanders.
Nice. Very,
The
very
name of
cool.
our field was Virginia Badlands, so hence the
Dude,
name.
that's cool. And what is this one?
That's my pro team that I played on. So I played on Bad Company, which was one of the top pro teams for decades.
Nice. And Tom Cole was on that, right?
Yeah, Tom was the captain. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I remember. And then for the kids out there that don't realize how much protection they're wearing, and I just saw this thing and I was like, what the? And that's even protected that you didn't have when you originally played, which was just goggles, right?
Right. And even after the mask came out, we didn't wear them because you couldn't communicate through a mask as well. playing in the woods. So we took the mask part off and played with just the goggles until the insurance company said, no, you got to put masks on, or we're not going to insure the events anymore. So they forced us to wear masks.
You weren't like, I mean, dude, your neck, your mouth, your face, your nose, it didn't matter, right? You got whacked.
Yeah, many times. Yeah, sucked, but it was worth it.
and were you? What was the FPS?
300 still back then. Yeah, it hurt, especially when you're playing tournaments. Where guys are shooting automags and autocockers.
Dude, that's crazy. You're crazy. All right, cool. So when did we get the idea? Look, you guys behind me. Check this out. Let me look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Now, what was the first name of the first magazine?
Paintball Consumer Reports International. That was my first magazine, 1991.
Dude,
and that magazine started out just doing product reviews. Back then, there was a few magazines out, and they never criticized any of the products. And I would buy stuff, and it would fall apart. And I looked at my business partner at the paintball field. I'm like, we got to start a magazine. So we did. We started a magazine, and we started doing product reviews, and we would be really tough on people. And without patting myself on the back too much, it really changed the game, because manufacturers started to call us and say, okay, so if we send you the gun while it's still in pre-production, can you let us know if it's going to get a good review? So we would get the gun, and we'd sort of advise them on, hey, when I pull the trigger, I don't really want to get hit in the eye with the cocking bolt. So so that was the first magazine, and we lasted probably, I think, 6 years. Yeah, 6 years.
Dude, okay, listen. Again, you guys, we've kind of gotten a huge wave of social media that just like swept over everything and destroyed print magazine. But yeah, back in the day, like if you wanted to buy, if you wanted to buy X-ray goggles, right? In the back of the magazine, you would send in, you would cut out a little thing and send in a goggles.
Right.
And then you could actually see through women's dresses. Not really, but that's what they promised. So it was like holding something in your hand and that was kind of special. And a lot of times we didn't have Barnes and Noble back then. We had like, maybe, I don't remember. I mean, I remember a library. Were there bookstores or?
Not really. So. I mean, there were, but not like they are today. But we used to send all of our magazines to paintball fields and stores, so we could reach the players directly. And that's
right.
That's how we found our niche.
And people there was subscription. People would actually order them and then get it mailed to their house, kind of thing. And then, oh my God, I had Ryan Pedoza. Why I can never say his. You Italians, everybody's Italian anyway. No, I'm a little sidetrack here. I'm not joking about that. There's something in the water, or maybe there's something in the pasta. We've got Gino from who we have, Valken. My old handler from GI Sports with Johnny, right? Who owns Hollywood Sports?
Gio, also very Italian.
We have you. We have Ryan on the show. How about John Paul? Do you know John Paul, who owns Critical?
Yes.
That's it.
And Aldo Perrone, the founder of Brass Eagle back in the day, was Italian.
Okay.
And one of the big scenario game producers back in the day, Ben Torricelli, also Italian.
There you go. Isn't what's it called? Isn't who used to be the president of GI Sports?
Richmond Italia, but he's actually not Italian, even though his name is Italia.
I know he's half Persian and half something. I forgot. Or it sounds Italian. Well, I'm going to give him an honorary Italian. There you go. Anyway, but no, I mean it's weird how if you do the demographics of our sport, especially here in LA, you'll see that like a lot of people basically who gravitates towards it. A lot of the Hispanic community gravitates towards it. Maybe the Black community. A lot of Asians actually are actually store owners, kind of things. And it kind of, when you look at our community or our industry, and you kind of see who's running it. And it's interesting that it's always like these certain entrepreneurial kind of people like you. And I'm not saying everybody's Italian, but there is a predominant amount of Italians that again, you guys listen, it's this baggage that we carry from kids that maybe gave us a work ethic that said, hey, go out and do something, kind of thing. And there's no microwave generation, kind of thing. And a lot of the Italians had that kind of like work ethic, and they saw something and they ran with it, and they go, okay, I'm going to, I know today it's not. I don't know. I'm not politically correct, but I'm just saying today people are like, it doesn't matter. We're all Americans. No, break it down and figure out why certain people are successful, and a lot of it has to do with the way that we were raised and the work ethic that we were given to move forward. So
yeah, and that's just that is just a fact. I mean, like my grandfather immigrated from Italy, and no one was going to hire an Italian back then, so he opened a restaurant. That's all he knew how to do is cook, so he opened a restaurant.
there you
Yeah,
go.
I mean, it's sort of in my blood to. My whole family's entrepreneurs, and so it's sort of in my blood.
Dude,
yeah.
I love that stuff. And I think we're actually going to be doing, and you're coming on the show, we're actually doing an entrepreneur show where we're actually going to be talking about businesses in paintball and tips and tricks and how how people can, follow. I'm stuck again. How people can follow in our paths. And I think it's going to be a great show. Okay. That was the first magazine.
Yes.
How many more magazines did you go, I'm going to try this one. I'm going to try this one. I'm going to try this one.
So they're all kind of, it's kind of a long story, but essentially like that magazine, that first one was Gino bought that from me.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So Gino bought it from me, then hired me to run it.
No.
And so we changed the name because at that point, newsstands were becoming the way to make, to get distribution. Right. So, so we went with a more, newsstand friendly name, Paintball 2 Extremes magazine. So he bought our magazine, bought another one, merged the two, hired me to run it. There you go. And that's what I did for the next 10 years.
Okay. So this one is a glossy kind of,
yes.
cool. And was the other one the same thing?
The other one was like a newspaper inside, but glossy cover.
Okay.
But nice. it was color, but it was mostly kind of newsprint type paper.
All right. And then did we stay with the same path and you just changed the name, or was it a completely different thing when you like X3 something or?
Yeah. So basically, that first magazine, it was product reviews. We sort of ran the gamut. I mean, we did that for like 5 or 6 years. We saw the industry change and there was really no need for what we were doing anymore. So when we went to Paintball 2 Extremes, we started from scratch. We started covering scenario games, tournaments, product reviews, but not like we used to do them, more like this is what's coming, new products, stuff like that. So Paintball 2 Extremes was, Gino sold it to a company called Pacific Paintball. And then, also I'm not very politically correct. They ran it into the ground from a business perspective.
Okay.
And it lasted about a year. And that's when I started Paintball X3.
Okay. So then we got this one.
There you go.
Yeah.
At that point, I've been in the paintball magazine business for 15, 16 years. So I knew what I was doing. I knew I could do it alone. I didn't need the big company behind me. And so ever since then, I've been doing my own thing.
Now
you dug deep. I like it.
Look at my fingernails. They're all dirty. There was, when I came into the world, what it's funny to me. It's like paintball to me was like, I've been in the tech business since '88, and it's funny when people when the internet came. Internet's been around since like the '40s, ARPANET, everything like that. But yes. When people when AOL, they would come up to me and go, "Hey, have you heard about this thing called AOL?" It's like, why did I get stuck again? Anyway, I don't know why I'm getting stuck here, but anyway, I'm gonna check my camera. I'm gonna go check my camera. It doesn't matter. Anyway, what happened was people would come up to me and they go, "Hey, did you hear about this thing called AOL?" And I'm like, "Yeah, the internet's been around for a long time." And it's always like when people discover something, that's when they're kind of like, like that. Okay, so with paintball, when I got in 2008, I was friends with Gary Baum since the early '90s. And he never spoke about it. It was like Fight Club, right? He never spoke about it. And so when I found out about it, I was like, "Dude, did you hear about this thing called paintball?" And he goes, "Yeah, listen, I know how you are. Just be a player. Don't. And I said, "No, I already got these ideas." But then I was grabbing everything. I was grabbing every magazine I could. I was grabbing all this stuff, right? And there was like Faceful. There was like Jungle. There was like your magazines. There was, what was the other one? I have them all up here. There was another one that was and I was like, I would just go this, and I would sit there like a little kid, and I would just like read them. And then I started going, wow, this is just like, this is like just really cool. But there was something special about having it in my hand
Yeah.
And and just and Ryan was telling me yesterday on the show, or the other day on the show, he goes, he found his love, paintball. He got this one magazine that he just loved, and he carried it with him, like 24 hours a day. And then he went to get surgery after he broke his arm, and he gave the magazine to his dad before he went under the knife. And his dad was like, "Wow, he doesn't need this," and he was crushed. He was like, "That was like he would that was his favorite magazine."
Yeah, bummer.
Okay, what do we have here? This is your World Cup one. Now, it says you gear, woods, and competition, right?
Yeah.
So competition to you was like tournament.
Yes.
Right. So
yeah.
So it's been, the name has been through what, like speedball tournament in Europe, they call it Sup Air, right? Yep. It's been through all these, and you call the competition. When did it kind of narrow down to what we're calling it today, which is like basically tournament?
Yeah, I mean, we thought competition sort of was a way to cover, whether it was a woods ball competition or played on, in an arena like airball or whatever. We just thought that was a good way to, you hear the word competition, you sort of get a picture.
Nice.
You hear tournament, you don't necessarily know what, if you're an outsider, you don't know what that means. Yes, the D-Day issue.
Now, this was just for D-Day, all about D-Day, and
yeah, that was 60 pages of just D-Day coverage. That event was huge back then.
Really, dude, it's no longer, right? I think that was last year.
Well, they're doing one more. They were going to do their 20th anniversary, closing event ever this year, but because of the coronavirus thing, they've moved it to next year. But it'll be the last one, yeah.
Okay, and again, I know. Okay, I know when you did this documentary. How do I say this? Okay, there's a lot of people in our sport that just play. They call it a hobby, and I always do this kind of thing. I always say that, imagine a boat, and there's like people in the front of the boat, feverishly rowing, and then there's the haters in the back who play, but then they're drilling holes in the boat, right?
Like, right.
Exactly. And these haters don't realize how much money you've invested personally without getting anything back. You know what I'm saying? Like all the traveling that you did to do our documentary and all, and not even that, just like when you did the magazines and everything like that. Then they get mad. People get mad that it's your business. You're making money from paintball. You shouldn't be making money from this thing.
I've only heard that once or twice, so I'm cool with that.
Okay. So I know you're joking, but listen, when you have a magazine though, you need to get advertisers, right? You need to get paintball companies. You need to, and back in the day, was it hard because there wasn't a lot of paintball companies?
No, it was actually a lot easier back then, right? Because so believe it or not, there were more companies back then because they weren't owned by conglomerates. Like GI Sports owns JT, and they own Empire. Right. They own Spider, and they own all these brands. Back then, those were all individual companies that needed to get publicity before there was an internet, right? So it was either you come to us or you hope your phone rings by magic, right? So it was pretty easy back then.
Wow.
So it's gotten much more difficult since the internet but I should stop and say right now, this is really important. The film and the magazine, we do have a really good partner base. So we have like GI Sports and Valken and Planet Eclipse and GOG. Right. These people really, they kick in money, which is immensely helpful. And they've all been with me for, some of them for decades.
Nice.
So while the money has definitely come out of our own personal pockets here, a lot of it has come from supporters and contributors and partners, which we definitely could not have done it without them, because the budget for this thing was way bigger than we expected.
This is crazy, but you know what? I think that the most important thing is that, how do I say it? Behind the scenes. In the front, people like, GI is a conglomerate, and they're like, they're a monopoly, and they're stealing trademarks, and Valken, everybody's okay. But behind the scenes, we all appreciate our sport. Yeah. And we want to see it succeed. Right. And there's a lot of people that it's like, I'm not a politics guy, but they're always saying that, Trump is doing this, or Carter did this, or so. They don't realize behind the scene, there's so many people actually pulling the strings, Yeah. So when you guys start getting, I'm stuck again. When you guys start getting crazy about all that kind of stuff, just realize that, we are all in this together. I hate that word because it's like a Corona thing, but we all in the paintball community, we all are in this together, and we're all trying to help it to keep going because we love the sport so much.
Yep.
So yeah, people might think that so-and-so doesn't like so-and-so like this, but John just said that there was a lot of big names that actually supported what he's doing and still support what you're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah. So you guys, there's no Illuminati in paintball, and there's no conspiracy, and there's no cabal. It's just that there's a bunch of people that really interested in keeping this thing going. So
yeah,
I got it.
yeah, and it's and nobody can do it alone. It's just not. It's a very difficult industry. I'll just put it that way. It's hard to break into this industry, especially now, because there are those 5 or 6 companies that really sort of run everything. And the downside to that is you don't get quite as much creativity when newer, smaller companies come into the market. It takes a long time to turn the ship around if you're 1,000 employees, but if you're just one guy in a basement, you have an idea, you run down to your lathe, right, and you got something new in an hour.
Right.
So yeah, so if I could say anything to people that are out there, that are players that have this entrepreneur spirit, more of that is needed, more creativity. I mean, really, yeah, the most creative time in paintball was probably the 90s. First of all, because there wasn't a lot of things made already. Right now we have everything under the sun.
Right.
But back then, literally, like everybody that played the game made something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You put a oil can on top of your gun because there were no hoppers back then, and you glued stuff together, and and that's how the game started. And that's how the industry kind of advanced back then. The players did everything, and it's not quite as much of that now, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Listen, so you guys listen. Our program, this platform that we're on is called StreamYard, and it's an amazing program. Except sometimes I get locked up. But what they did for like about 2 or 3 days, they had a problem with Facebook, and they were like negotiating, blah 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 blah, and we couldn't pop up comments. And all of a sudden, I'm looking off to my right hand side, and guess what's back? Comments. All right. So we're going to bring in some comments, you guys. Hold on one second. We've got Lisa Weber from Team Tags. Do you know Team Tags?
I don't.
So basically, they're a mom and pop business that basically made like, I don't know what you guys used back in the day to distinguish, one team from the other. Did you use duct tape or something?
Yeah, just armband type of thing.
Armband. So they ran with that idea, and they did like they're doing like a Velcro armband kind of thing.
Yeah, awesome.
And again, it's really weird that like you grew this tree, or you helped grow this tree. Then the tree blossomed, and then people started picking the lemons, and they go, "Well, I'm going to make lemonade, and I'm going to make a lemon meringue pie, and I'm going to be like, like this." And that's what happened. Team Tags came out of this whole thing. So good on you, man.
That is good.
What's up? Do you know who Scott Morrison is? No, you're probably not going to. How about Andy? Andy's a cool cat.
Oh yeah, I know Andy.
Andy's a great cat. Dan Black. Who do we have? I don't know who this guy is. He just keeps on popping up.
Ryan Gray.
What's up, buddy? Hey, Ryan. How you doing, man? Let me see who. Tim Miller from Australia. Do you know John Tank? He in Texas.
Oh yeah.
He's such a cool cat. That guy, dude. Listen. So he had this. He invited me out there. 2016. Did you see I was on the news? I did that Fox News thing. All right.
No, I didn't see that.
So 2016, I went out there for this event, right? I've never been to Texas before. It's 100 degrees, 100% humidity, right? And he's a big guy, right? And he's got this truck, this huge truck, Texas truck, right? And it's like 1,000 degrees outside, right? But inside, it's like -0. You could put meat in there. And so he goes, jump inside. We're going to go someplace. And I'm sweating, freezing. And all of a sudden, all my sweat turns to icicles because it's so like, how do you live like this? This is crazy. Yeah.
It does get warm in Houston, no doubt.
Dude. All right. Let me do, who else do we got? Kat. Do you know who this woman is?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Isn't she cool?
She is. Awesome.
We had a bit of a, I first met her, like we did a one of these, this thing, a StreamYard about like a couple weeks ago, and she was on it, and they just wanted me to test it. So I came on, and she was kind of like dark, hidden kind of thing. And I didn't even know who she was. And I said, hey, are you using one of those Halloween masks? And she was like, fuck you. So after that, we became friends. So
she's been in the game a long time.
Exactly. Listen, people know who I am. I speak from my heart. I always joking. I'm not malice. So you know what I'm saying. So here you go. Anyway, here's Andy. Andy's saying, thank you for the on the paintball. Nice.
You are welcome.
Okay, and you guys, if you don't know who Andy is, I keep on twisting his arm to get him on my show, so we can talk about Ali Remembered Foundation. But he's a bit busy, but he's not too busy to watch my show. But he's too busy to get on my show. All right.
And he's another long-time old school player.
Damn, I met him in Vegas last 2 months ago or something like that, and yeah, he's just a great guy. Okay, so oh, wait, let me where's my comments here? Let me just take this off. Okay, so here's a song that's stuck in my head. I keep getting richer, but I can't get my picture.
I saw that post.
On the cover of the Rolling Stones, and that's Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show, right?
Yes, yes,
and,
old song.
When I grew, I mean, John and I are basically the same age, and so we kind of grew up with the same music and the same kind of thing. And yeah, a lot of my references are old. So people that are like, you know, when I make a joke about something, you know, the Zapruder film, people are like, okay, so people get it, they don't. Yeah, so
there you go.
I got my cover. Now,
you did have your cover picture on the cover.
I got the picture on the cover. Now, you guys, this picture, I'm going to tell you basically what happened here. I was playing at Hollywood Sports. That's where that is. And Gary was doing some pictures. Gary Baum, paintball photography, is doing some pictures. And I came through this area, kind of this wall, and he said, "Stop!" What? And he goes, "That's it. That picture, that light, that everything. That's it." I go, "Okay, I'll hold still." So I held still. I took the picture. I posted the picture up, and I said, "Hey, what a great picture!" This guy from England, his name is Ashley Slingsby, the Hidden Hedgehog. He goes, "Hey, can I do something with that picture? Can I do?" I go, "Yeah. What do you want to do with it?" And he goes, "Okay." He goes, "I want to." I go,
"That's cool.
Wow, that's an amazing picture." I go, "Let's make a poster out of it. We'll put Titman across the top because I've just been recently sponsored by them. Let's put Titman across the top." And then I created this design for fun, built to last thing. And then I put the things there. And then as soon as we did that and posted it, this was about the end of 2014, the internet went crazy. They just went, "Who's this guy?" Like this. So we don't know how things happen. All I'm going to tell you is that in 2008, I started my own woods ball tournament league. And I'm going to tell everybody our little history there. But basically, I started my woods ball tournament league. And I started just chugging along, and I was like, I wore my black and did my kind of thing. So I was kind of like, you know, I didn't sign up to become a celebrity. I didn't go, you know, "Oh, look at this great sport, and I could become a celebrity." I just fill out the application. Things happen. And I believe strongly, like we're talking about entrepreneurial spirit, when you're doing something from your heart and you just got your head plowed down, you're going forward. That's what I was doing. I fell in love with it. I was doing everything I do. Now, I was very lucky that I'm going to tell you two quick stories here, but I was very lucky that I had two big guys on my shoulders that kind of like just let me do whatever I wanted to do, but they were very influential in our sport. So basically, you guys, I'm going to like do a little quick history between John and I, how we're connected. But so 2008, I got involved. I called up Gary. I go, "Dude," and he goes, "You know, don't get involved." I said, "I already am." 6 months later, I created this thing called the WTL, the Woods Ball Tournament League. And then about 5 days after I created it, basically what I did was Gary said, "You need to take flyers and go to all the different paintball parks," because again, social media really wasn't a thing. So I did, and I went to Gio's place and Hollywood Sports, and I put my flyers down. About an hour later, I get a call from this guy. And he goes, "Hey, Gio wants to talk to you." I go, "Who's Gio?" And he goes, "Giovanni." I go, "What is it, like a mafia thing? What is it? He wants to talk to me." Right?
Pretty much.
So I went there, and I went into this room with like all these big, huge guys that were ready just like to pounce on me, right? And he turns to me and he goes, "Who the hell told you that you could put flyers in my park?" And I go, "Gary." And he goes, "Gary who?" I go, "Gary Baum." And he goes, "When do you want to start?" And I'm like, that was the power of Gary, right? Yeah. So then it turned out that Gary's like the biggest orthodontist in the world. And he was doing bear's teeth and all the kids' teeth and everything. So I started learning about the intricacies of our sport, of the handshakes in the background. And so Gio had a reputation of kind of like, "Oh, I like it, it's now mine," like this kind of thing, right? And he never, with me, he was complete. He says, do whatever you want to do. And so I did our first tournament at his park. Then I did it at SC Village, and I bounced around. So then about like 2 weeks later, I get a call from or a PM from Tom Cole. I'm stuck again. I get from Tom Cole, and he goes, "Hey, I'm Tom Cole. I would like to have lunch with you." I go, "Dude, I'm married. What's going on? What do you mean? Like, who are you?" He goes, "Just meet me at Spider headquarters." And I go, "Okay." So I went there. We went to lunch, and he was cordial. He's nice until he opened up his notebook, and he goes, "You're my competition." I go, "For what? I don't even know who you are. What are you talking about?" Again, I don't know anything about anybody. I don't know any history. I'm just plowing forward, right? So he goes, "Yeah, I'm creating the UWL, and you created your thing, and you're, you know." I go, "I could be a feeder league, maybe." He goes, "No, you can be nothing." Okay. The next day, we're all sitting around a big table at Gio's office because he's getting all the promoters together, and he goes, "Yeah, you know, we're doing this. So nobody would step on each other's toes, right? We're all doing this." And this guy, Chris
Quinta.
he had his own magazine.
Yes.
Splat.
Yeah,
Splat or something, or what was it?
He worked for Splat, yeah.
Okay. He was sitting next to me on one side. Tom was on the other. He reached over past me and he goes, "Hey, Tom, I want to get you in my magazine." I go, "Well, what about me?" And he goes, "I don't care who the fuck you are." He's like, "I don't like this." I'm like, "Who are you people? Why do you hate people so much? I'm just trying to do this amazing thing." That's when I started learning about the Good Old Boys Club. And I'm like, and I said, "You know what? I'm not a team player anyway. Fuck all y'all. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do." And that's what I started doing. I just started plowing forward. So I got this idea for the WTO. I did my best. I put it on DVDs, and I spent my own money, and I flew to Atlanta for the extravaganza, right? And I brought a portable DVD player. Back then, again, there was no iPhone shit. I bought a portable DVD player and DVDs that I could hand out. And I started walking around to all the people. And I said, "Let me show you my league." And they're like, "Oh, that's nice." Like, I go to this little table, and there's this guy with all these magazines. And his name is John. And I go, hey, maybe you could take pictures of my league. He goes, "I heard about you." He goes, "No, I'm very loyal." And he says, I'm friends with Tom Cole. And so I don't want to have anything to do with you. And I'm like, "Dude, I just flew from Los Angeles to hear this." What?
Did I say it that nicely?
You were kind of just like, "Go away, kid, you bother me." Like this. I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." I went to the Tippmann booth. That's when they said, "Hey, you're the guy that plays with pistols." Yeah, you know, whatever. And they gave me pistols. And so I started getting sponsored by them. And again, I started saying, "Listen, I'm doing the best I can. If people don't want to support me, that's cool." And I started, just going forward and doing my own thing. The league became successful. We did it in 2014. It was great. The first time that we did our sport, though, the first time that we did our league, I had more media than I had players. And it blew up. I've got all the magazines, everything like that. We just were like, the things. So for me, my connection with media and paintball has always been intertwined. So it helped my league. It helped me to get basically where I am. And I feel a hole in my heart when we don't have any more real paintball media. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that it was extremely important for our sport and for me and for that kind of stuff. So you guys, listen, flash forward to, obviously John and I are friends now. So
obviously
he didn't say, "Go away, kid, you bother me anymore." But anyway, so then what happened was I started doing this whole Reaper thing. I started getting famous and then became like where I am, this kind of thing. And then all of a sudden I started getting into magazines and again, this was back in the, this was, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, probably so, yeah.
And they used to be Barnes and Noble. And what I used to do is I go to Barnes and Noble and I would actually move them. If they were tucked away, I'd put them in the front, this kind of thing. Or I would say, do they belong in hobby? So I would put them in the hobby and I would leave it like that. And I'd walk away. So, yeah. So then there's sports, right? See that? Now ours is in the front, right? I made it.
Good job.
Everywhere I'd go, I would put our paintball magazine in the front every time that like this. Yeah. So that was it. But anyway, yeah. So then we've got this cool cat that I ran across, right?
Josh Silverman.
And he became a really big supporter of mine. He was actually writing, connected with Titman, and he was actually posting my picture all over the place, like, posting here, posting there, kind of thing. And I was like, dude, I mean, that was before PayPal. I mean, like, should I send you a check or something? Like, what's going on? Like this. And he saw what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? He saw that, I loved our sport. I'm out there to promote it. I'm not trying to make money from it. I mean, it's just like, I'm just doing what I'm doing. And there was amazing guys like him that were just like, hey, we see something, let's just run with it. And then I said, you know what, maybe our sport's not so bad, even though, like, I've run across some, it's like in Israel, the Israelis are called sabra, and a sabra is it's the fruit of a cactus, and it can be very prickly, but once you get past that, it's soft and nice on the inside. So every culture has the same meaning of that kind of thing. And in paintball, I had to go through a lot of layers. People were like, and it was kind of actually more like survival games. Who's this guy? And if he can make it through these hoops, then maybe we'll, accept him, kind of thing.
And that's it. I mean, so many people, come to the game, they play a couple of times, and they want to be, sponsored or in the industry somehow. And, 99 out of 100 don't last a year. So, you put the work in, and you did what needed to be done, and you stuck around, and you didn't take no for an answer. So here you are.
All right, now we can end the show. Thank you. I'm just joking. All right. No, but it is, you know what, you guys, it is a big deal to be on the cover of a magazine, right? This is something, I mean, framed, right? This is, I have my wall actually of all my stuff. And again, you could be in a digital magazine and then you have to print it out, whatever. But there's something about buying copies and giving them to your friends. There's still something special about that, right?
Sure.
All right. What is this? What is this thing here?
So that was PB2X was, Paintball 2 Extremes. That was our little sort of abbreviated pb2x.com. So we decided to buy a Hummer and put stickers on it. On the back, what you don't see on the back window, it says, "Ask me for a free magazine." And we used to keep like 1,000 magazines in the back, and everywhere we went, we just handed out paintball magazines. I mean, everywhere.
Dude.
We couldn't keep that thing full.
Dude, marketing.
Yeah. So, and it really worked. I mean, we gave away thousands of those things every month.
You're cool. That's cool. Let me see. Kevin.
What's up, Kevin?
Roger Weber. He's with Team Tags again. And who is this? I don't know. Hello World. I don't know. Hello World seems like the first time you do Java, they always like, I'm sorry, programming. I'm talking about programming. Sorry. Anyway, I'm stuck again. All right. So because of who you are, you hang out with celebrities. Right? You're like,
like now. Oh, is Greg Hastings a celebrity?
He's a celebrity in my book, dude. He is. He
Greg's a great guy. I've known him forever.
Yeah, he is another one of those. He's not Italian. He's another one of those entrepreneurial kind of guys that just, you can't tell him no. You know what I'm saying? He's like water going down a hill. He's going to find a path. It doesn't matter.
Doubt. Right? No doubt. Yes.
He's been in your magazine several times. In fact, the first time I saw someone using pistols was him. There was like, he was like, I think even Gary might have taken the picture. It was like this big tube. He was inside with these pistols. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? This is amazing. Yeah. So, and who are these people?
So this is, we did Greg and I used to do tech class, like training classes for field owners.
Yeah.
This one we had done, I believe this one was in Portland. So we would go, we would have these meetings with like 10, 15 field owners. We would sit in the room and we would just go over marketing, how to market your field, how to run your field, how to change up your game, the stuff you need to know as a new field owner.
Dude, nice.
That was cool because that actually, one of the guys in that picture flew from Australia for that. The guy in the yellow/orange shirt there.
Seriously?
Yeah, really great guy. Flew in from Australia and then stayed in the States with his, well, it's his wife now, but his fiance back then. They stayed in the States for about a month, and they came and visited us in Washington, D.C. It was really cool.
Dude, that's cool. Let me see this one.
Okay, so that's Bob Guernsey in the middle, and to Bob's left.
Hang on a second. Again, there's people that don't know who's Bob Guernsey.
So Bob Guernsey was one of the 3 founders of the game of paintball in 1981. Owned and really ran the first paintball company in existence. Really created the industry. And then to his left is Jim Lively, who ran the Lively Paintball Tournament Series for a decade. It was really the first sort of really well done paintball tournament series. Directly behind Bob is Tom Kay, the inventor of the Automag. To Bob's, I mean, next to Tom is Jessica Sparks. She was a very early paintball player, paintball advocate, attorney. She fought a lot of legal battles for the game of paintball. And then next to Jessica is my wife Brenda, who's my business partner also. And then that's me in the back, the red shirt.
Dude, nice. All right. Okay, cool. So then we've got this one here.
That's only about 5 or 6 years old.
That is cool. But this is you've got Greg Hastings' old company, or what was his brother was doing those cameras, right? That camera.
Oh yeah. No, it was Greg doing them. Greg and his brother and his brother Glenn. Yeah.
Right. The Drift or something was it called?
I can't remember what it was called. Yeah, those were great though.
Those were great cameras.
They were the first real on-gun camera.
Okay, so then Ryan and I were talking the other day about Malaysia. Malaysia is like, it's this amazing country. It's 100%, almost 90% Muslim or something like that. And you would think that they wouldn't like be into what we do, but they adopted the sport. They said, we're going to jump in 100%, right? And then what they would do is, I mean, and these guys had bucks. What they would do is they would just invite teams, photographers. Speaking of photographers, remember Cat Shack?
Yeah.
So Gary told me the story that it was him and Cat Shack. They got invited to go to Malaysia, and Cat Shack didn't even have a passport. He didn't know what to do. He's like, I don't want to get ripped off, and like so. Gary was basically babysitting him, and so he goes. They get to Malaysia, and he didn't have the right equipment for the phone, the cameras and stuff like that. So he plugged everything in, and it went, and so his whole camera system got destroyed. And Gary had to let him borrow his camera, kind of thing. But it was crazy. Anyway, so Malaysia comes around, and then we got Indonesia, right? So we're doing all of these Asian kind of events. So you went to the Indonesian one, right? Did you go to Indonesia?
Oh no, I went to Malaysia. I didn't go to Indonesia.
You didn't go to the Indonesian one.
Yeah,
okay.
Malaysia.
And you know about this, right? Where the actual prime minister shows up at these things. Dude,
I was at that one. Yeah,
that is crazy, right?
It's really amazing. The fanfare and the just the way they put the game on a pedestal there was really cool.
Dude, and is it still that way?
Not as much. So a guy named Alan, last name escapes me right now. He ran that event in Malaysia, and he was very connected politically, and he got out of paintball and is a big time player in the Malaysian Airlines now. He's the vice president of the whole airline. So when he left, sort of the politics left with him a little bit. But I mean, it's still big there, but it's not like it was 5-7 years ago.
All right, let's do this. I'm going to take a quick detour here. Tell me who this is.
That is my wife, Brenda.
How long you guys been married?
We've been married since 1997, so 3 years.
Dude, what's the secret? Come on.
There's a lot of secrets.
I know, dude. I know.
Put your wife before yourself. How about that one? That one works.
Dude, I like that. I had Mrs. Hastings on the show. We did a women's show, right? Yeah. And she said God, family, work. Yeah. Right. I know you're a man of faith. Do you believe in that hierarchy?
Absolutely. That's the first. I mean, for me, that's the most important thing in my life, because that sets the standard of how I live. Right. Right. So, I mean, not that I don't screw up and I don't put myself on some kind of pedestal, because I'm not that guy either. But at least I have like a set of guidelines that I think are how I should live my life. And if your belief is that, then when you get married, it's a permanent thing, right? And you just work through the stuff. Every marriage has stuff, and you just work through it because there's no other option. Right. You don't want there to be an option, so that's how we stayed married. I understand. Plus, we're like perfect together, just is the way it is.
That's perfect. No, I mean, I agree 100%. It's interesting that in the Jewish religion, we always want to marry Jews kind of thing, but we've had so many we have so many layers of it that, like, I married an Israeli. I'm not marrying really a Jew. I'm marrying an Israeli, which is another complete culture. And so,
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
Californian, I'm like, I don't care, whatever you want to do, like this kind of thing. Like, oh, I like that kind of thing. In the Christian or the Catholic faith, there's the dogma is pretty tight. So when you guys marry, you kind of already are all on the same page, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Should
You
be. Yeah,
should
I
be,
would hope so. Yeah.
hopefully, unless you're a Latin Catholic or something like that. But yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, I do believe strongly that the faith can hold things together, and that, yeah. I mean, listen, I've been married since well, actually, I've been with the same woman since 1988. And if my wife finds out, she'll kill me. No, that's an old joke. That's no
Yeah,
joke.
that's an old joke.
I've been married since 87. I've been connected with her since 87. So
Wow.
it's a long time. And yeah, you go through ups and downs. And then I realized that there's a really big divorce rate in paintball. There's a lot of people who are like,
And everywhere else.
they find this thing and they go, my kids, my wife, or paintball. And they actually, some people, right? So I don't know. Maybe it was unstable in the first place. You can't blame paintball.
Yeah, I mean, paintball's kind of an addictive thing for some people, right? And if you can't, keep it in perspective, it can cause a lot of other issues too. But that's true with anything, right? I mean,
that's true with anything, dude. That's what it is. All right, where's this beautiful place?
So this is California. This is what is it called?
Desert?
Kelso Dunes.
Where is this?
It's Kelso Dunes. It's outside of LA. And there's literally like a sand mountain that's like 2,000 feet tall that you can climb.
That's cool.
It's amazing.
I don't think I've been there. Where?
I don't know. Look it up. It's not far from you, actually.
Dude, I'm gonna go there. I'm hanging up and dropping the mic. I'm out of here.
It's an amazing place.
All right. What's this?
Oh my gosh, that's my brother's wedding from like 35 years ago.
Unbelievable. Look at all these Italians. This is amazing.
You find us on Facebook, right?
No, I ask around. There's people who want to embarrass you. No, but dude, you're dedicated to the beard. That's amazing. That's
back then, yeah. Not
hey,
anymore.
Speaking of beards, we've got Top Notch Grizzly. Yes, go check them out. That's like remember, did you ever watch what was the Groucho Marx show? You Bet Your Life?
Oh yeah.
And then every time he'd say something, the bird would come down. So our bird that comes down all the time is Top Notch Grizzly. Every time I mention beards, we get to mention Top Notch Grizzly. Go visit topnotchgrizzly.com. Okay, and then we've got this cool picture.
Yeah, that's me and the grandkids.
Dude, how many do you have?
5.
Oh my God, how many kids do you have?
4.
That's amazing. Congratulations. You're really connected with them, right?
Oh yeah. So we didn't birth our kids. They're for lack of a better way to say, adopted.
Right.
We didn't legally adopt them. There's a long story there, but we have 4 kids that have been in our lives since they were 11, 12 years old.
Wow.
And they're now in their late 30s with kids, and they are our kids and our grandkids. And
that's something special. Good job, brother. Good job, man.
Appreciate it.
Where's this?
Ireland.
You look like, you know what? You don't even look like a tourist.
Exactly.
You look like you belong there.
Chameleon. I belong anywhere, right?
Dude, you're amazing. You love to travel, right?
What's that?
You love to travel?
Yeah, my wife and I both love to travel, and paintball has been good to us in that way, and we travel together, and that's a lot of fun.
Nice. Okay. So we pretty much covered your life, right?
Yeah, I think you did.
Now, you guys, again, this guy that's been connected with media since the beginning, he got this crazy idea to do this documentary of this thing. Now, I remember that, like, I don't know, for the past 3 years or something, we kept on banging into each other at events, right? And you kept on telling me, I want to get you in my documentary. I want to sit down to interview. I mean, I'm in Oklahoma. I'm in Michigan. I'm like, dude, where, when, like what? He goes, well, he says, I'm coming to California. And when I come to California, I said, you come to California and I'll block off. That's it. I'm going to take care of it. So the last time we talked about it was OXC. It was the super game.
Yeah.
And it was 100,000 degrees, humidity, sweating, dripping. And he's talking to me. And again, he's not there to play. He's there to do his documentary. And he's sweating bullets and I'm sweating bullets. He goes, okay, we got all the ducks in a row. I'm going to be in California on this date. And I'm like, I'm like, okay, okay. So we go and we sit down and here comes another full circle. Ready? So I go to Hollywood Sports Park, right? And there's John, there's Gio, and there's me. Now, again, you guys, I started Hollywood Sports Park in 2008, just as a player, just as I love this sport. And then 13 years later, I'm sitting in front of a camera doing a documentary about our sport.
Cool.
At that same
cool,
location.
full circle.
So full circle, same location. So and then after the photo, or after the documentary, after we did the interview, then you came back to my car so we can do my shoot you soon picture there. Yeah, I how do I say this? The people in the documentary were not paid. The people in the documentary didn't say, hey, put me in the documentary. You, I don't know. Thank you very much. I'm getting like emotional, but to be on the cover of the magazine was one thing. And then all of a sudden to for Gary to say, hey, I saw that I got a sneak peek of the documentary and you're in it and you got pretty much as much screen time as like all the other big guys.
Yeah.
And I said, besides being stuck, I go, that means a lot to me. So I'm like, I don't know. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I mean, seriously.
Thanks for everything you do.
Thanks. So I don't know. Thank you. All right. Anyway, you guys, if you go to here, if you go to check it out, you go to basically the idea is we want you guys to help fund it. Not fund it. We want you to help out. No one begs. No one says like and subscribe on my show. No one says follow me. No one says add me. No one says friend me. None of that kind of stuff. But I'm saying, if you guys have just watched our show and watched everything this guy has done, and watch what he's done basically for our go get the documentary, pay for the DVD or pay for the download, pay for the stream, help fund this kind of thing. This is super important for our community. It's extremely important for maybe the fathers, the parents to sit with their kids and watch it and say, especially the ones that the kids who are into it go, I just come over and go, hey, because we didn't have something like this. We didn't have, there was no paintball coalition. There's not like, oh, look, I'm stuck. Look at that one. Look at that one. That's cool. Look at that stuck. Anyway, there's no paintball coalition. There's no like we have the NBA, we have the NHL, we have the thing. We don't have any of that. We just have a bunch of people that have just got together and just made this thing called paintball. And if you looked at it on a spreadsheet as a business guy, you go, this doesn't make any sense. How does this even work, right?
Right.
So there is no kind of like thing that can say, John, okay, John, hey, listen, here's your assignment. Go out and make a documentary. You did it on your own with your own cash. And all we're asking you guys is go and stream this, go watch this, go, help fund this amazing thing. So yeah, I'm going to get a new camera. I think it's the camera. I don't know, because sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. It could be the internet connection. I got no idea, but anyway,
all good. It's all good.
Anyway,
yeah,
brother.
One of the really things that jump-started this documentary is I've always been, really interested in paintball history, but what jump-started now was those original 12 guys that, played that first game, and the original 3 that you created the game of paintball. Those guys, the youngest one of those 12 is 76 now. So we just, I get to the point, like, if we don't do this now, we're not going to be able to do it.
Oh, hang on a second. Let me see if I can find this. Hang on a second. I'm multitasking here, and then I'm going to do this one. Can you see it? John, can you see it?
Yeah, it's really small, but I can see it.
I'm trying to make it full screen. Hang on a second. Let's try that one. There we go. How about that?
That's better. Yeah, the reviews, as you can see, have been pretty good. Pretty excited about that.
Nice. All right, cool. All right, now we're going to watch some family videos of mine. Just joking. All right. Where do we find it?
Where do you find the film?
The video, yeah.
Yeah, so it's on demand on Vimeo. So it's vimeo.com/on-demand paintball history.
Okay. And
or you can always go to www.paintball.media and you can find it there.
Okay. Or if we just find your name on Facebook, we can track it down.
Absolutely.
I like
or
it.
Or we have a Facebook group for the history documentary, so you can find it there. So it's pretty much everywhere. If you want to find it, it'll take you a minute.
On your face like this. What is that? Oh, hang on. It was the document. It was part of the documentary where they were. What was it called? They were on the TV show. They were
show. Yeah.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it started running. Okay. You feeling okay?
I'm good.
No one's pulled you through the fire like that. That's like I just drag you through everything. Like,
hey, that's all good. My life is my life, right? It is what it is.
It is what it is, and it's all good. It's all perfect. I like it. Let's just look at some of the comments before we split. Let me see. So this guy was from Sweden.
Okay, cool.
Lisa Weber. Okay, cool. And then here, Lisa Weber said we watched the movie together as a family. It was fantastic. So fantastic. Okay. Anything? Did we miss anything? You want to say anything before we go?
So the last thing I'll plug for the film is tomorrow we are going to announce the director's cut of the film. So this film is nearly 3 hours. It's 2 hours and 51 minutes. The original film, which is a long film, the director's cut is going to be 3 parts, 6 hours. So there's a lot coming.
Nice. I'm in. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you learned more about John than you thought you knew, and I think you did. Yeah, you guys go support him. I support him, even though he told me, "Go away, kid, you bother me." But,
I appreciate everything. Thanks, man.
No worries. So, all right. So you guys hang out. John, just hang out 1 minute in the green room. We'll see you in a second. And you guys, we're going to get another show coming up tonight at 6 o'clock. We've got The Law. That's the ref team. And we're going to learn about them. All right, you guys, take care. Shoot you soon.